My name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to another indie book review. Yes, my voice still sounds like this, but I am trucking along so well, I don't want to ruin my own momentum. So, I am reviewing yet another book that I really should have gotten to sooner, and that is Standard Operating Procedure by Jennifer R. Donahue. I know what you're thinking, Margaret, that's not the title on that book. This is the omnibus for the first 3 novellas in the series, Run with the Hunted, of which Standard Operating Procedure is the third. So, I'm still going to be waving this book around, and you'll just have to check the title of the video to remember the title of the book. Now, obviously, this one is the third in the series, and I will be talking a little bit about what happened in the first 2. Unlike your average series, these ones tend to be a little bit more episodic, a little bit more self-contained. While they do happen in order and they do reference things that happened before, for the most part, it's not like a direct continuation of the same conflict. New conflicts pop up every time. But if you don't want to be spoiled, you can check out those reviews down in the description below. So this one, the third in our sci-fi heist series, is focused on Dolly. She's the muscle, the guns and ammo type. And I knew going into it that this was probably, just by the sheer nature of the series so far, going to be my least favorite, because the first one had all of the introductions of the cool concepts, and the second one was from the point of view of my favorite character. So by sheer, luck, I guess, or misfortune, this one was probably going to be my least favorite, and I was correct in that. Not that I didn't try. The plot was still very intriguing. This one was based on the heist of a dog, specifically a Tibetan Mastiff puppy, and so if you're into dog stories, the dog does not get harmed at all. I will let you know that now. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think assuring someone no, the dog doesn't get harmed would actually convince people to read it. But as a result of this very expensive dog, I don't know, are Tibetan Mastiffs like really expensive and rare? Things of course go sideways, and they're on the run, and they gotta figure out what happened, and they're getting shot at, and it's great. Your usual, not full-on espionage, but the criminal heist spy stuff. And this one had a different writing style, and I do like that each of the writing styles of the 3 different books definitely do focus on their very distinct personalities, the very sophisticated and worldly Bristol, the very introverted and tech-focused bits, and of course the very matter-of-fact DGAF Dolly. But Dolly had an extra level to her writing style that kind of interrupted the story in a weird way. So she's very daydreamy almost, or very easily distracted in a lot of ways, because there are times when she'll suddenly get on this tangent in her head of, oh, what's this word called? And she'll get on an entire paragraph trying to figure out what that word is called. Or the most egregious one, the one that really was the paragraph was so long that I literally had to go back and reread to remember what was happening in the actual plot, because it was a very high gear moment that was supposed to be adrenaline and filled and tense, and she's reminiscing about swimming in the local fishing hole of her childhood, and I'm like, you just got shot at, and you're trying to get away from a gunman, and what? So, in some instances, it was utilized in ways that would actually grind what was supposed to be a very fast-paced moment to a halt. So, I'm not exactly sure how you would have reformatted that, how you would have managed to maintain what is very clearly meant to be a purposeful character trait with the high-paced story that was being told. But in a lot of cases, because you get off on these really long tangents so often, the plot got muddled, and I couldn't really figure out exactly why are they traveling here? Exactly why, because she would give so little thought to, okay, we need to do this next, and so much to these random asides that it almost made the plot feel secondary. And maybe that was on purpose, maybe that was just an artistic choice, but also because of Dolly's inherent writing style, specifically keeping things low-key and non-sentimental, it kind of ruined certain points that were entirely meant to be sentimental. She talks a lot about like an old flame from her childhood, and at one point you're supposed to get the gist that she is like very protective of her colleagues, and it comes through with bits at least once or twice, but I almost always feel like she's just annoyed by Bristol, Dolly and Bristol, just by sheer nature of differences in personality. Don't really get along well. You see that throughout the entire series, that Bits tends to get along better with both of them than they get with each other, which is funny because Bits is in her own little world the vast majority of the time. I did enjoy the fact that Dolly is a bisexual, and very much a chaos bisexual in that, but I liked how it was kind of just included in. I think Bits might be ace or be intended to be ace. I mean, Bristol is hella straight, but like, I think Bits is meant to be asexual. Don't quote me on that. However, because of Dolly's very avoid sentimentality mindset, while I could tell that I was supposed to be feeling things, the feelings weren't there, which is kind of rare for me. I'm usually an easy get with romances. I will get like all of the feels invested in a romance that I don't even remember 2 weeks later. I'm very much an emotional reader, mood reader. But this one, it just wasn't there because the narrative was going so hard to prove to you that Dolly was just that blunt and direct and non-sentimental. And I don't know, again, if that was meant to happen or if you were meant to be like, oh, she does have a heart. And I'm not trying to spoil anything, but specifically at the end, there was a point where you're like, oh no, you're supposed to be like, ah, or something to that effect. And it like wasn't there for me. So overall, I gave this book 3 stars. I believe the first got 4 stars and the second got 5. So that kind of tracks. So because this is the third in the series, I will still continue it. I do have a rule that if the first book in the series is a 3-star, I do not continue. However, usually if you've already gotten a 4 or 5 star in the series, I'll give you a pass. Some series just have that one lull book. So I would still read the 4th one, especially because the 4th one, we're back to Bristol. I don't know if it's just going to be like a rotating cast here, but the plot looks cool. So, I mean, Jen, if you're interested, you can 100% send me that one, either in PDF or, you know, another book. Fun fact, I actually, a lot of times it has happened where the author will send me the PDF copy or an e-copy, and then later on will send me the physical copy of the PDF they've already sent me because, and apparently I didn't know this was a thing, me waving the book around in the video is apparently part of the charm. I've literally been told that like they want me to wait until I get the book in my hands to film because this is charming, apparently. Regardless, I will still be continuing. It is still a great series to begin with if you are new to sci-fi because the world is so recognizable with just like an added layer of tech on top of it. But of course, I go more in depth in the first one, so I mean, honestly, if you're already watching all of this, you probably know all of that. Regardless, still closed. As of filming this, still closed, but fast approaching my goal. Fingers crossed by the end of 2021, I will be making the I am open again announcement. I'm so hopeful, but I gotta keep trucking. Regardless, with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.